2 decades in the Air Force, I'm finally retiring. No more early morning drills, no more deployments to godforsaken places, no more months of being away from my family. For the first time in years, I feel free. As the plane touches down, I exhale, letting the weight of duty slip off my shoulders. All I can think about is getting home, to Lisa, my wife of 12 years, and our 3 kids. I've missed so much: birthdays, school events, lazy Sunday mornings. But that's all behind me now. From today on, I get to be there for them. The best part? They have no idea I'm coming home early. Lisa thinks I'll be back next week, but I wanted to surprise them. I imagined it over and over. Lisa's shock turning into a smile, the kids running into my arms, the house filled with laughter. That's what kept me going during those long nights overseas. But life has a way of kicking you in the teeth when you least expect it. The taxi slows as we pull into my driveway. I sit forward, scanning the house I haven't seen in over a year. Immediately, something feels off. Lisa's car is in its usual spot, but there's another car parked next to it. A silver sedan. Not a friend's. Not a family member's. A stranger's. At first, I try to brush it off. Maybe a repair guy? A neighbor stopping by? But then I notice something else. The house is too quiet. Sure, the kids are at school, but shouldn't Lisa be inside, doing her usual routine? Cooking, watching TV, playing music? Something? The curtains are drawn shut. That's the detail that makes my stomach tighten. Lisa always keeps them open during the day. She likes the sunlight coming in. But today, they're pulled tight. Like someone doesn't want to be seen. I sit there for a few seconds, gripping my bag, telling myself I'm overthinking it. I pay the driver and grab my bag, unaware of what I'm about to walk into. With each step toward the front door, I imagine how surprised and happy my wife will be. I unlock the door and step inside. I set my bag down, carefully wondering which corner of the house Lisa is at and whose car is that parked outside. Then I hear it. Muffled voices. Movement. A giggle. A man's voice. It's coming from upstairs. My breath catches in my throat. There are only 2 options. Either Lisa isn't alone, or I'm losing my goddamn mind. I take the stairs 2 at a time, heart hammering, fists clenched. The hallway is dim, and the door to our bedroom is slightly open. And then I hear it clearly. A moan. Lisa's voice. I freeze. My brain refuses to process it. My legs feel like cement. I push the door open, and my world shatters. You ever have one of those moments where time just stops? Like your brain refuses to process what your eyes are seeing? That was me. I walked into my own bedroom and found my wife of 12 years, wrapped up in our bed with another man. He was half-dressed, lounging back like he owned the place. His hand was still on her thigh, fingers digging into the skin that wasn't his to touch. My whole body locked up and my brain was scrambling for an explanation, something, anything, that would make this make sense. But there was no excuse. No misunderstanding. Lisa wasn't shocked. She wasn't pushing him away. She just sat there, frozen, eyes wide, like a criminal caught red-handed. And that was it. That was the moment everything inside me snapped. I didn't think. I just moved. 1 second, I was standing in the doorway. The next, I was on top of him. My fist connected with his jaw, so hard I felt his teeth crunch beneath my knuckles. His head snapped back, his body recoiling, as he let out this high-pitched yelp, like a dog caught in a trap. Good. I didn't stop. I grabbed him by his shirt and slammed him into the headboard, then threw him onto the floor. I could barely hear Lisa screaming over the roaring in my ears. I landed another punch, hard, felt his nose crack under my fist. Blood sprayed across my knuckles. His hands scrambled at my arms, trying to push me off, but I was too far gone. This wasn't just about him. This was about everything. Every lonely night. Every unanswered phone call when I was deployed. Every time I came home and felt like a stranger in my own house. And he is probably the reason. I was going to beat him until he felt just a fraction of the pain that was ripping me apart from the inside out. Then, by some dumb stroke of luck, he managed to shove me off just enough to roll to the side. He scrambled to his feet, slipping on the wooden floor, nearly falling over himself as he lunged for his clothes. He didn't even bother putting them on, just grabbed his shirt and ran. Barefoot, half naked, bleeding. I chased him down the stairs, but by the time I hit the front door, he was already gone, bolting down the street like a scared little rat. And then it was just us. Me and Lisa. She was crying, hard, tears streaming down her face, her hands clutching at her chest like she had the right to be heartbroken. Daniel, she choked on her own words. I made a mistake. Please. A mistake? A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. This was a choice. She chose to spread her legs for another man in the bed I paid for. She chose to betray me, knowing I'd come home one day and find out. Lisa stepped toward me, reaching out like she thought I'd actually let her touch me. I still love you, she sobbed. Please don't do this. I laughed. Not because it was funny. Not because I was okay. I laughed because it was pathetic. She wasn't crying because she was sorry. She was crying because she got caught. I didn't say a word. I just turned my back on her and walked away. I made it to my study before the real weight of it hit me. Before then, it was just rage. Just action. But now standing there, hands still clenched into fists, blood on my knuckles that wasn't mine. I felt it. The emptiness. Like someone had gutted me from the inside out. I pressed my back against the door and slid down until I was sitting on the floor. My chest was rising and falling fast, but I wasn't out of breath. I was just trying to hold everything in. Because if I let it out, I didn't know if I'd be able to stop. Lisa was outside, pounding on the door, begging, pleading. Daniel, please. Just talk to me. We can fix this. You don't understand. I understood just fine. I had given this woman everything. My loyalty, my love, my years of service, thinking I was protecting my family. And this was what I got in return. I tilted my head back, staring at the ceiling, swallowing back the bile in my throat. I thought this was worst. I just didn't know how deep the betrayal ran yet. I sat in my study for hours. I couldn't move. My body felt heavy, like all the strength had been drained out of me. The fight had already left me. I wasn't angry anymore, just empty. I was just questioning if any of it was ever real. Lisa's sobbing had stopped a while ago. At some point, she must have gone to the other part of the house or something. Maybe she thought I'd calm down, that I'd get over it like some foolish, lovesick idiot. But I wasn't getting over anything. I tried to keep my mind occupied to stop myself from thinking about what I saw in that bedroom. My hands reached for the stack of paperwork on my desk. It was a habit, something the military drilled into me. When things felt overwhelming, focus on order, structure, control. I opened my filing cabinet and started sorting through old documents. That's when I saw it. Lisa's section of the filing cabinet had always been a mess. Unpaid bills stuffed in folders, random receipts crammed into envelopes. But behind all of it, pushed deep into the back corner, was a manila envelope. It was sealed, unlabeled, hidden. I stared at it for a moment, wondering what is sealed inside. I had no idea why, but I knew I had to open it. As I tore the envelope open, inside were DNA test results. My stomach dropped. Why would Lisa have DNA test results? I unfolded the papers and then read through. Child 1, 0% paternity match. Child 2, 0% paternity match. Child 3, 0% paternity match. I blinked. My brain refused to process what I was looking at. I read it again, then again, and again. But the words didn't change. Not one. Not a single one of them was mine. A sharp pain shot through my chest. My children, the kids I raised, the kids I stayed up worrying about, the kids I sent gifts to from across the world while I was deployed, weren't mine. Lisa knew. She always knew. She let me believe I was their father. She watched me work myself to exhaustion, sending money home, planning for their futures, believing they were my responsibility. She used me. She let me love them. She let me waste years of my life being a father to children that weren't even mine. How many men had she been with? How many different fathers were there? I felt like I was going to be sick. Then my thoughts shifted. I thought about the kids. I had always felt a strange distance between us. They never really looked like me. Their personalities never matched mine. I sometimes feel like an outsider in my own home. Had I been blind? Had they known the truth all along? Was this betrayal even deeper than I thought? There was nothing left to say. I stood up. I looked around my study, at the life I had built, at the framed pictures of a family that never truly belonged to me. It was over. I was done. I didn't sleep that night. By the time the sun started creeping in through the blinds, I was already packed. I didn't take much, just the essentials. A couple of changes of clothes, my important documents, things that actually meant something to me. Everything else? I left it behind. I didn't need reminders of this place. Lisa was still asleep. I looked at her one last time. There was a time I would have done anything for her. I would have fought, bled, and died for her. But standing there in that doorway, I felt nothing. No sadness. No anger. Just the realization that I had wasted too much of my life on someone who never deserved it. I turned away, walked out of the bedroom. The house was silent. The kids, no, her kids, were asleep in their rooms. I didn't say goodbye. There was no point. They were never mine to begin with. I walked downstairs and stepped outside. For the first time in years, I took a deep breath and felt free. I got in my car, started the engine, and pulled away. I didn't look back. Lisa would wake up soon. She'd stumble out of bed, maybe expecting another day of deception. But instead, she'd find nothing. No fool to clean up her mess. Let her figure it out. As soon as I was out of town, I pulled into a gas station, grabbed a coffee, and made 2 phone calls. The first one was to my lawyer. Sell the house? I didn't need to explain why. He knew I was retiring, and he knew I had planned to live there. But plans change. List it immediately. I want it gone. The house was in my name. I bought it before I even met Lisa. That meant she had no claim to it. No settlement, no leverage. Then I cut every tie. No forwarding address. No new contact number. No trace of where I was going. At first, I thought she'd take the hint. But of course she didn't. Within a day, my phone started blowing up. Lisa's calls, texts, voicemails. At first it was apologies, begging me to come back, saying she made a mistake. I ignored them. Then came the anger. How could you just disappear? You're abandoning the kids. You think you can just leave without an explanation? I blocked her number. She tried tracking me down. She called my old base. They had no clue where I went. She drove to my Air Force office. They turned her away. She even tried contacting old mutual friends. But I had already told them, don't say a word. Eventually, she gave up. Her messages stopped. The calls went silent. And that's when I knew. I won. For the first time in years, I was free. Some people might ask if I regret leaving without saying goodbye. If I ever think about what life could have been like if I stayed, tried to fix things, or worked through the betrayal. But let me make one thing very clear. I regret nothing. Lisa lied to me for over a decade. She let me believe I was a father when I wasn't. She took my trust, my time, and my love, and treated it like a joke. So no, I don't miss her. I don't miss the kids. I don't feel guilty. Because in the end, they were never mine to begin with. And now I finally belong to myself. You know, it's been years since I walked away from everything. And it's been amazing. At first, it felt strange, waking up without the noise of a house that never really felt like home. No forced small talk, no fake smiles, just silence. A good kind of silence. I used to think I needed them, my wife, the kids. That no matter what, family was family. But once I left, I realized something. I was never part of that family to begin with. So I built a new life. I traveled. Saw places I never thought I'd have time for. I invested. Made smart choices. Set myself up for the future. And, for the first time in my life, I found happiness. And them? Lisa? She lost everything. The men she cheated with? None of them stepped up. Not one. Turns out, it's easy to play around when there's no responsibility involved. But once they realized being a father wasn't just about making a baby, they vanished. And the kids? They resent her. I heard from mutuals that they started asking questions, started realizing the truth. And when they did, they turned on her. She built her world on lies. And when the truth came out, it all collapsed. I should have felt bad for her. But I didn't. Then, one night out of nowhere, my phone rings. At first, I almost ignore it. The number isn't saved. But something tells me to pick up. I do. And the moment I hear her voice, I know. Daniel, I messed up. Please, I need you. Come back. I don't say anything. I just sit there, letting the silence stretch. Because that's what she deserves, silence. I take a slow breath, exhale. I feel nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just nothing. And then I say the only thing that feels right. I abandoned you the way you abandoned me. Then I hang up. Block the number. And that's it. That's the last time I ever heard from her. And I never look back. Now what do you think? If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Would you have answered that call? Would you have forgiven her? Let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next one.